All right, welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. All right, these are going to be just a little hodgepodge reading here. Putin kind of is willing to accept a ceasefire, but only with lots of conditions. He's afraid that under the ceasefire, Ukraine, which is currently withdrawing from Kursk, will be able to withdraw, resupply all their troops, get new conscripts in there, and shore up defenses, just as Russia's got the upper hand in Kursk. Russia had to divert a lot of resources and material to Kursk to take that back. That became a priority after Ukraine took about 1,000 square kilometers of land in Russia. And again, as a dictator, Putin can't let his people know that, because that's the one thing about dictators, they keep you safe. And if they're not keeping you safe, what good are they? They become ex-dictators, and ex-dictators don't have a long lifespan. So Putin, he doesn't really want a ceasefire. And I can't remember what I said yesterday, and that's part of the problem when I do the readings. I can't remember what I said. I didn't think... I don't know if I said there was going to be a ceasefire or not. I don't remember. But I'm going to assume that I was wrong on that one. I don't know if I was or not. The other one was the Democrats had an opportunity to try and push back on the Republicans on the budget. And last night, it looked like it could happen. There were cards the cards weren't definitive. I was leaning towards it happening, but it wasn't a real strong leaning, 60-40, 55-45 type of thing. Maybe a little more likely than not. Nope, Chuck Schumer folded. We don't want to cause harm to people. So I'm going to look in that one too. I hate to say this, but I have no faith in Democratic leadership at this point. They are feckless. Absolutely feckless. Oh, and pusillanimous. So while we're using fancy words here, feckless. For those who don't know those, I know feckless from a video game. I had a strategy game I used to play. Feckless is kind of like really incompetent, just don't know what they're doing type of thing. And pusillanimous is timid, lacking backbone, lacking a spine. The Democrats need to get rid of their leadership. Maybe Hakeem Jeffries has a spine. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But Schumer, he's got to go. I'm sorry. Maybe it's the politically savvy move to do. What do I know? I'm not straddled with that decision. But the Democrats need to grow a spine while they still have spines that can grow. The Republicans have voluntarily given up their spines. The Democrats have them, but I don't think they know how to use them. Where the Republicans do know how to use them, but they're selective when they do it. Who should the new leaders be? I don't know, but I know there was one Democrat who was yelling at his peers when Elon Musk wasn't answering questions and was running around with Doge. That's kind of the energy that you need right now. A little bit loud, a little bit angry, and in your face type of energy. Let's see who that was. And the right answer is John Larson, who's a House member from Connecticut. I don't know when the Senate might fill that role, but you're going to need some loud people who are willing to push back. You need, for lack of a better description, you need the Democratic version of Mitch McConnell. Maybe you need a Tip O'Neill. I don't know who's going to channel their inner Tip O'Neill on the Democratic side of things, but they better figure it out quick. Anyway. Ceasefire in Ukraine. How is that going to go out? Putin's going to put a bunch of conditions. Trump doesn't understand minutia and stuff like that. Let's just look at the energy around a ceasefire in Ukraine. Four of Wands, there's still that possibility that it's happening, but neither side trusts the other person with it, which is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. A ceasefire would be a good thing for all people considered in there, but again, both sides will cheat. Russia will cheat worse. In the past, you got the King of Pentacles. The industrial military complex doesn't want a ceasefire. This has been good for business. The U.S. military industrial complex likes this war. Current situation is the Five of Coins, but you've got, it's the human cost that's involved with this. Again, Russia's economy is in dire straits. They don't want to give up because they think they've got the Ukrainians on the run. And part of the reason why the Ukrainians are on the run is because Trump is throttling support again. There's going to be more work on this. Oh, you know what? Putin wants the sanctions lifted. He's playing hardball. He's willing to do a ceasefire if he can get sanctions lifted. That's what's going on here. He's being cagey with Trump. You want that Nobel Peace Prize? Yeah, I want you to get it too. But Russian people are starving, and our economy is thrashed here. And you're a big supporter of Russia. You should be helping us out, bringing an end to things. I would, how will these ceasefires go? Again, I think Putin's going to play. He's going to play on Trump, trying to get Trump to lift sanctions, put an end to the sanctions here. In the end of the day, though, I don't think Trump may not lift him right away, because here's the thing that's going on. At least I think, and I'll throw on this. So this is my supposition here with that Ten of Swords, the outcome card. I think the peace negotiations, they fall apart. Simply because Putin wants economic relief, and Trump realizes that that's the only card he holds over Russia, are the economic sanctions. And Trump's holding out for a better deal. He wants Trump Tower in Moscow and a Nobel Peace Prize. For those who are like, David, don't talk about Trump and Nobel Peace Prizes in the same sentence. It makes you spit out my coffee. Obama got a Nobel Peace Prize, and Trump has, that's something Obama has that Trump doesn't have. So he's got to have that type of thing so that he could be not inferior to Obama, amongst other things. Matter of fact, he should get 2 or 3 Nobel Peace Prizes, because clearly he should have gotten in the past, but there was this bias against him. Expect that story to come out at some point from the belligerent, unintelligent one there. But I don't think there's going to be a ceasefire, because Putin's trying to get the sanctions lifted, and Trump's not going to do it, because otherwise Trump has no leverage over Putin, not to help Ukraine, not to help the United States, but to help Donald Trump. Okay, Democrats. I want to read on the Democratic leadership, on Chuck Schumer. Why the hell did he punt when he could have stayed strong and showed a backbone? He was afraid he was going to impact him at the elections. Again, I talked about, in the video, I did talk about messaging. This was an opportunity for the Democrats to do messaging, which they are terrible at. And apparently they are going to remain terrible at it, because they're not willing to take a chance, because they don't feel like they'll be able to get the narrative. The Republicans will blame them. They blame them for anything. If you work with them, they'll blame you. And the messaging that they're having is that we are concerned about the government shutdown is going to be too hard on the American people. It's going to shut down the court systems. And we're much more concerned about that than stopping Trump. As a matter of fact, if anything, Schumer said shutting down the government would allow Trump and Musk to run wild. And that's exactly what Trump wants, is to be able to run wild. And that's the messaging. Trump, he is thinking that Trump and Musk will cause even more chaos if the government shuts down. So they'd rather message that they're helping people than promoting chaos. That's great. In the past, you got the chariot. The Democrats didn't stand a chance. This thing was going to go through. It was just going to run their butts over. Current situation is the Sun card. Though the budget's going to go forward and the cuts are going to happen, we now know the mystery's gone. I said last night, well, we'll find out soon enough, and we sure did. But again, this isn't helping. This really isn't helping. We're going to find out the truth about the leadership and the truth about the budget. But, it's going to keep the government funded, but now the Republicans have the opportunity to cobble together a budget that brings out the worst in them. Overarching energy is the Five of Cups. Schumer is in one of those situations where there were no good choices. So he tried to take the less damaging of the choices. Nothing I want to hear. Nothing you guys want to hear. Lesson to be learned is the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is, it's a harsh reality. You live with your decisions. And I think Schumer's going to have to live with his decision on this with whatever happens. His point is going to be he thinks Trump and Musk will do worse things if they don't shut the government down than if they do. But if you don't stand up for yourself, they will continue to run you over. Outcome is the Strength card. Mastery. Well, maybe this works out better in the end. It just seems like, certainly my viewers, me too, we're ready for that fight. We're ready to get mixed up and get in there and fight for it. Fight for things. Show our strength. But the leadership in the Democrats aren't there. They're just not there. Are they weak? Maybe. Are they timid? Sure seems like it. Are they competent? They're probably competent when government is working like it's supposed to be working. And I think that's the key. Just like Biden in that regard, is that, he's a senator for 30, 40 years. He's used to a Senate that, gives and takes. And this current Republican Party, these party members in the Republican Party, basically from the Tea Party on, it's even before this, the evangelicals. The evangelicals are not reasonable. You can't compromise with them. And then you throw the Tea Party members in there, and next thing you know, the whole damn party is unreasonable. Bipartisanship is dead. I don't know if it can ever come back. Certainly not with the people you've got in there now. On both sides. Because in order to be bipartisan with Republicans, you have to have a Democrat in charge who is fearless and has a ruthless nature to them. Because the Republicans will trample you if you're not ruthless. This would be like being a timid, shy, introverted person in a crowded New York subway, hoping you'll get a seat. There ain't no chance. They will. And this is not to say New Yorkers are rude or anything along those lines. I relate this, but basically, if you don't stand up for yourself and you don't show aggression and assert yourself, you'll get run over. That could be any major city, by the way. And I only say that because a number of years ago, I visited New York on a business trip with a friend, and watching how aggressively people drove and how assertive and aggressive people were moving in crowds, it's like there's so many people that if you don't stand up for yourself, you're just going to get buried. And as I was driving, I was in the wrong lane. I had to cut across 3 or 4 lanes of traffic to make my exit. which I pretty much did. The only thing I wasn't doing was sticking my hand out the window, flipping everybody off as I went from the left lane to the right lane. And the best part was, it was such a jackass maneuver. I didn't do it on purpose. I was just trying to get over to my exit. Well, I did do it on purpose, but I wasn't doing it to be a jerk. I was just in the wrong lane. But I almost felt like there was nobody honked a horn, and it was almost like this feeling of admiration, like, yeah, that was a good move. I wish I had thought to do that. That dude got all the way over. I don't really drive that way. Oh, dear. Okay, so Putin, nah, he doesn't want a ceasefire. Democrats, spineless. They have them. They just don't know how to use them. And that budget's going to go through. How about a little bit of a challenge reading on the budget? I haven't done one of those in a while. What's going to happen now that the Democrats have approved it versus what would have happened if the Democrats had opposed it? Okay? And we'll look at one thing. Challenge reading here. This is going to be the foundation of the challenge reading. The challenging the budget versus not challenging the budget. The keynote is going to be the death, bringing an end to things. Now, if the Democrats they've approved it, how is that going to manifest itself? Queen of Cups, maintaining control, keeping emotions. Ace of Pentacles, big financial money starts. Six of Cups, taking care of people. Nine of Wands, getting ready for the next fight. So, in the underneath energy, this is all about death, bringing an end to a situation here. The king is dead, long live the king. But planning for the next fight, getting ready for what's coming next. Right now, the Democrats they're just kind of going to lie low, and it's like this basically what this is saying is this wasn't the hill they were ready to die on. They want to take care of people. This budget is awful, but it's a continuing resolution, and it isn't as awful as what's coming. And they have to get ready. They have to get themselves ready for what's coming next. It's this September budget. That's where they're going to likely make their stand. Now, if they had made their stand now, how would things have turned out? King of Cups. Emotional maturity at the Queen of Cups and the King of Cups. Instead of keeping it out, now they're out there showing their passions. You got the Eight of Cups. You got the card of integrity, but it's also taking the good with the bad. You stand up, you're letting people know your strengths, but there's people suffering for it. Three of Cups, they would have won. They would have been. I think they would have won if they had stood up for themselves. Or would they? Okay, so if the Democrats had stood up for themselves, they would have been celebrated by their party. But look at all the emotions here. It's all emotion with this. They would have been celebrated for doing it. They would be questioning, and they got to take the good with the bad. They're not used to it. But there would be people walking away. They would have gotten blamed. Basically, MAGA would have still blamed them for it. But I think the Republicans would have been much better at messaging about the Democrats. They're the ones causing the issue. I think if they had stood up for themselves, I think they would have been fine. But, again, I don't get to make the call. This is not my call. And the decision, they could change their mind. They're signaling that they're going to vote for it. If they don't, I think they're going to be fine. They're going to look like the adults in the room. But they need to work on their messaging. It looks like they will capitulate, and if this just isn't the hill they want to die on. Okay? We'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you find it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.